Guys, I'm alarmed. I'm alarmed at the condition of the United States of America. I'm also alarmed about the patriotism here because I worry that maybe people aren't aware that life is a lot better in other countries. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about like if you're like Kylie Jenner or like Rihanna or like a billionaire, because in that situation, yeah, of course, the United States is like the best place in the world, because the cost of living is low compared to other like Western developed countries. However, like obviously everything differs from state to state, but I think the majority of the United States is exactly like what I'm currently seeing and observing, which is extreme levels of poverty, unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I have been overseas. I've been to many regions of the Middle East. I've been to North Africa. I've never seen, I'm serious here, never seen this level of poverty. Granted, I did stay in tourist areas, so I'm not like discrediting that, but I'm just trying to emphasize how bad it is, and that I think that most people from Europe or Canada would be completely shocked to come here and see the reality, because everything, in media and everything you always hear, like, oh, the United States, the United States, the United States, the world superpower, the United States has so much money, and it is just my personal experiences just living. I'm here right now in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I would say there is no middle class. There is no middle class. You are poor or you are very wealthy. And I've never lived in a place with no middle class. I guess what you would call working class people, so like your average person, is poor. Your average person makes $10 an hour. I have personally met people, the government doesn't provide a lot of help. Um, people don't get help for their kids. They don't get child tax credits. They don't get, um, you know, monthly payments for their kids from the government. So, I met a woman who had 4 kids. Um, her water got shut off because she can't support 4 kids on $10 an hour. And without a degree, you cannot get a job that pays more than $10 an hour, and that's on the high end. Some people out here are making $7 an hour, or if you're serving, as I mentioned in my last video, you're making $2 an hour. Her water got shut off, and her children were running next door to drink water out of the hose of the neighbor's backyard when the neighbor wasn't home, and also risking their lives because you can shoot someone legally here for trespassing onto your property. So her children were risking their lives every time their neighbor went to work. They would run next door to the backyard and drink water out of the hose. Coming from another country, you would never think you would hear a story like that in the United States, and that is the reality here of most people's existence, how poor people. Another thing I've heard more than once, just from talking to people at bars, and um, you know, I say bars loosely because like they call everything a bar, but it can just be like a restaurant, but they call it like a bar because people just go and sit and drink. But like that's typically where you go to talk to people. Even if you're not drinking, you would just, go socialize with people at like a dive bar. just from talking and socializing with people, I've heard more than once, here, if someone gets arrested, and it doesn't even have to be a conviction, but just arrested, they publish their name and their photo and a bunch of detailed information about them, even if they're not convicted, which I find strange because, I mean, obviously, publishing that kind of information on social media would greatly impact someone probably for the rest of their life, and they would probably like never be able to rent again because someone's seen them on like, the police page on Facebook or something. But anyway, if someone is arrested, they post their image and their name. I've heard many times, if someone, sees someone they know has been arrested, and, they know that they're in jail, they'll be in jail for a while, they'll go to their house because they know where they're living. They'll go to their unoccupied house and find like a loose window or door or something and temporarily reside there, um, like squatters. I've heard more than one story of people going to squat in other people's homes because they're homeless or they can't make rent or they're facing eviction, and they will just leave their residence or apartment or wherever they are and they'll go squat in someone's house who went to jail. Dumpster diving is a very common thing, but because it's like 100, 110 degrees outside Fahrenheit, it's very, very hot. People will go to Sonic, which is like a burger joint. Homeless people or people in need will go to Sonic from the morning, ask for a large, cup or whatever, their largest big drink cup filled with just ice. And they'll go pour that ice in the dumpster so that if any food or anything like valuable or anything that they may want, they'll do this every, hour or 2 hours so that if anything they want gets thrown in the dumpster, it won't heat up to the point where it's not, to where you're not able to eat. With a lot of the people I've met, if you offer them $10, they will do just about anything for you. They are extremely desperate for money. It's shocking coming here as a foreigner, coming here as like, and then, but, I find it just odd that at the same time, you get these people, and it is the poor people as well. The people who are so poor, the people who are suffering so much, are still extremely patriotic. They are still flying their American flag from their window, from their front porch, from everywhere, saying, America is the land of opportunity, America is the best country in the world. And I think this patriotism must be something instilled in them from a very, very young age, because it seems almost like propaganda. It's like, like kind of like North Korea-ish propaganda, like people just say things that they've been raised with because it's familiar, but maybe haven't had the time or exposure or been taught to critically think about what they're actually saying. But then, it's very odd because you'll drive maybe 10 to 15 minutes out of like a middle class neighborhood, which is like very poor. And you'll get these huge gated mansions that have like 18 bedrooms and two pools and three Range Rovers out front. I've seen people drive, souped up Mercedes. I've seen a Lamborghini. I've seen a few Bentleys. And these communities are obviously much smaller, much, much smaller. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy the divide. It's crazy that there's genuinely no middle class. You jump from the bottom of the bottom to where your water's getting shut off to having a Lamborghini. There is no middle. It's either like you're here or you're here. People have little to no interest learning you're from somewhere else. If anything, I would say they probably kind of look down on you for it, because of the patriotism, because they think America is so awesome and the best country in the world. Um, you know, it's concerning. It's concerning, and I feel like this homebred patriotism kind of keeps people down. It kind of keeps them like illusioned to not recognizing or not taking the time to think about serious problems in society here. It is an extremely poor, impoverished country in general. As I said, there are pockets of extreme wealth, but the average person, the majority of people, are living in extreme poverty. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Their bills are getting cut off. They're in crippling amounts of debt, and most of that comes from medical debt, because maybe they have to work 3 jobs and um, can't necessarily commit full-time hours to one. Um, you know what I mean? Like they can't work a 9 to 5 when they could have 2 jobs working like a 6 to 12 and 12 to 7 or something, and like make more money, if that makes sense. I've seen a lot of cases where they end up bringing home more money day to day working multiple part-time jobs than working one full-time job. So a lot of people do that. Doing that leaves them without insurance, without health insurance, and the healthcare situation here is like, yeah, they will, if you have to go in an ambulance, they will bill you an astronomical amount. If you take so much as a Band-Aid at a hospital, the itemized bill for a Band-Aid is $30 USD. If you need an x-ray or ultrasound or anything like that, you're looking at thousands of dollars. So a lot of people declare medical bankruptcy, have no credit, therefore can't buy a house, have to keep renting, and it's just like extreme poverty. Extreme poverty. I'm not bashing states, like, not bashing. I'm reflecting on genuinely what I've seen, what I'm surprised by, and, maybe to let people think about, in my opinion, this is the worst developed country in the world for the people. The government is not for the people. if you're already extremely wealthy and can pay for everything out of pocket, this is the place for you. And if that's not you, this is not the place for you. Um, and I just am of the mentality that I think advancing as a society is better for a country than promoting individual advancement as like a, very small percentage of individual advancement. That means most of your people are suffering. Anyway, these are just my reflections. I thought I would come home and talk to my camera again. So, yeah.